Okay, welcome to this studio armor review. This is going to turn out to be also another conversion showcase, but I'm going to cover the heavy support, and I'm going to start with the only real tank I've got in this army. It's the Leman Russ. I prefer the Annihilator. So again, there's nothing really special about this. It's a regular standard old school kit. It's not the newer ones with the nice interchangeable spots and what have you. This is I used the forge rule turret to get the Annihilator. Loaded up the las cannon in front, and this represents kind of like the Sherman Firefly, which was an upgunned Sherman tank that was in the British armor division. So each of their tank platoons was 4 Shermans. One was called the Sherman Firefly. It had a 76mm gun on it, whereas the other 3 had the standard 75mm guns. 76 was more effective at punching armor, and las cannons, as you know, are much more effective at punching armor than a battle cannon. So that's how I look at this one. Now, I have chosen not to model or even make it interchangeable with sponsons. Going back in my particular fluff on my army, they did not use sponsons on the Annihilator. There's no reason to have them. I mean, this is a dedicated anti-tank tank, and so unlike the battle cannon versions, this one wouldn't mess with the even heavy bolters, and they would not be getting close enough to worry about using any of the multi-meltas. If you're that close to an enemy tank, something went wrong, so you try not to do that. And my army does not use plasma in any form, as it does not value it does value the lives of its soldiers a little bit more, and does not want to risk the scarce tanks by having them burn themselves out with the plasma shots. So they have limited resources as far as tank manufacturing, so there are no plasma sponsons on any tanks. Matter of fact, none of the tanks carry plasma weapons at all. None of them have a gets out rule. So that's as far as the heavy support normally goes. But I did want to go one more unit here. This is the one I'm really going to showcase. Now, I mentioned in my overall video, introduction video, that I really like the tank destroyers, especially the M10, the Hetzer. Now, the M10 was a American open-top turreted anti-tank vehicle. His Tank Hunter is what it was called. And then the Hetzer was actually a closed-topped with a fixed forward 75mm gun. Again, it was a tank destroyer. That's what it was there for. So I love that idea, but the Codex doesn't have anything that represents that. And again, going back to when I first started, and there was the possibility of creating your own, I decided to take the idea of a twin-link las cannon off, just like the Annihilator, and then put it on a Salamander chassis, which is a fast recon vehicle. That way I could have an open-top vehicle, kind of like the M10, and still have that fixed forward gun looking thing like the Hetzer was. I think for some reason I really like the look of the Hetzer, though it wasn't produced in very large numbers. It was effective for what it was supposed to do, and so this is my attempt at doing that. This was a pretty healthy conversion, and in my backstory I've decided that there's a little bit of Tau technology in this, but it's not a lot to change the way it looks. Now, as I worked my way through the Imperial armor codex, I noticed the Leman Russ Tank Destroyer, which is a lot like the Hetzer, only a whole lot heavier and more durable. So when I'm fighting with this tank, I'll sometimes use it in a regular list and treat it like a Leman Russ Tank Destroyer. Now, obviously, the tank destroyer is not open top, so I get around it through a little bit of Tau technology that I've put on that actually modeled on the model itself. So I'm going to go through the conversion itself here. I'm going to start. Let's go ahead and move this one out of the way. And here, this one actually has crew that I'm not going to want to move around. So let's start look at this one real quick. Okay. This is really just a Chimera kit. There's really nothing fancy about it. I mean, Chimera-wise. You just take the kit and kind of build it as if you would build it to be like a Basilisk or Hydra. You use the bottom hull. You don't use the Chimera hull that comes, for the transport. You raise the middle deck, because there's actually two places to mount that deck in here. One is at the very bottom, and then up here. So I'd mount it at the top level to put the firing deck a little bit higher. And I use this glacis pad, or sheet at the back to kind of give it some substantial look of a body. If I left that off, it would just look really awkward with having nothing under there. Now, again, having 12 of these really helped, because what I was able to do is take more of those plates and cut it to make the front plate and the two side plates on each side. I'm going to take this off. This press fits in because I didn't want to break it off all the time. The little antenna. So, now, so if you look at this, the first plate is, all I've had to do is cut down where the guns are. That's as far, it cuts down about 2/3 of the way, maybe 3/4 of the way down the plate. And it doesn't take that much to cut it. I've got a X-Acto saw that I did most of the work with there. However, now when I got to the bottom, the X-Acto saw won't work. I didn't have a jeweler saw at the time, so I actually used a heated X-Acto blade, number 11, heated it over a candle flame, and then cut, not right on the line, but just near it. And then I was able to carve it and file it down to make that 90-degree angle and nice even level. On the side, it's just a matter of cutting the plate down at a certain angle to match the angle of this plate, and then you're good to go. Mount those in. Now you've got yourself a crew compartment. I put some, again, these are modeling pieces from all over the place. A small piece of strip styrene, block styrene under there, with, these are flanges from, again, a refinery set in there. They look like gauges and dials, but they're just flange sets that I glued them in there. Put the bedroll, it comes in the upgrade kit, Leman Russ upgrade kit. Sandbags from Tamiya. I admit though these are too large. These are the 35th scale. I really should have gotten the 48th scale. But they still looks good. That's kind of how I count it as extra armor. I do always put extra armor on these simply because I need them to be mobile. If they get hit, I have to be able to back them out, get them out of cover, get them out of the line of fire again. So that means shoot and scoot. And if they're hit and stunned, I have to do something to stop the stunning. So that's what this is for. Again, to disguise the fact that there's Imperial sigils under here, I used the tank barrels, the barrels for the fuel from Leman Russ, and split it in half. I mean, it comes in two pieces, so I just put it one half on each side to cover up the Imperial sigils. Now, just like on the Chimeras, I have a rack for the Hunter Killer missile. This one is not flexible. The ones on my Chimeras are actually, you can actually turn and rotate them. But this is just a straight barrel. It's the rack, the actual Hunter Killer missile rail, glued to the side of the tank. And then here I've got, it's actually a piece of arrow, aluminum arrow shaft. After making some of my own arrows, I had a couple pieces, so I used an X-Acto saw to cut it off into the size I needed, because it turned out it was perfect to fit that Hunter Killer missile in. Okay. Okay. Now again here, I went with the standard Leman Russ upgrade kit tread rails or tread guards track guards. I didn't really need the headlight. There's a headlight searchlight here. There are no other headlights on this particular kit. Thinking back on it now, I probably would have put some headlights on had I really noticed that before. Other than that, it's just got the typical details of a tank. Now, here's where I went with some tower technology. In order to represent a Leman Russ Tank Destroyer, which is a supposedly closed top, I took a Tau shield generator as well as some very old smoke generator pieces and bits, and made an array. Let me get these guys out of here real quick. Okay. Made an array, kind of a shield array, so that this entire compartment is covered by the different shield components, so that it effectively becomes a closed top vehicle, but still has good crew visibility for being able to respond to threats from any direction. Now, again, when I originally built these things, again, my own custom Fire Salamander, I had a pintle-mounted heavy stubber, but when I ended up having to use these primarily as tank destroyers, I went ahead and took that off and converted this. Converted is too strong a word, but converted it to the heavy bolter here to be actually a heavy stubber by putting a thinner piece of tube in to scale down that barrel. So now again, because it has to be able to make its way through cover and shoot and scoot, they always have a dozer blade. So dozer blade heavy armor comes standard. Camo netting is also standard. I am about to start working on camo netting for this. All three of these, as a matter of fact. It's just I finally found enough the gauze I want and the approach I want to take, so that's going to come next. But again, more of these sandbags to give it some of that extra armor. And even though it hides the numbering, it's still, I think it's a very appropriate way to do it. So do all the decaling first, and then when you're done, add things like the sandbags, because they're not going to be caring about obscuring a number when it comes to protecting their tank. Okay. All right. And then it's always nice to add some extra details. There's a folding stock carbine version of the las gun. I think that's actually part of the Leman Russ upgrade kit, and so is this piece back here. Just again making it look like it's equipment that is in use. Now you're going to see more details in an open top vehicle, so I made sure those are there. There's probably a lot more I could have done inside, but unfortunately, I know from experience that the more details you put in to a model that you're going to use in wargaming, the more details break off. And so I tried to put as much durable, obvious details on here to really get the effect without going through the super detailing like I normally would do on my tanks or railroad models. Again, I want these to survive, and I want them to stay looking good. So there it is. It can either be a las cannon, and twin-link las cannon, Fire Salamander, which would essentially be a fast attack choice. So it's a fast tank, twin-link las cannon, front heavy stubber, open top, and with a possibility of having the Hunter Killer missile, always coming with heavy armor and the dozer blade. Or you can use it as a Leman Russ Tank Destroyer, which is obviously a much stronger armor configuration as far as the 14 front, 13 side, 10 rear. Closed top, and closed top by virtue of the Tau shield generator. Again, this is a renegade this is a renegade human army, so they're not afraid of using Tau technology. In fact, over the span of the last 200 years, since the Damocles Gulf Crusade, they have become more comfortable with technology and a little more willing to experiment and do things a little outside the STC approach. So, all right, so there is my 3 Fire Salamanders. Hope they gave you some ideas. Now, one thing I do want to say before I sign off is I don't know that it's a good idea to use this press fit approach that I've done for this antenna array. It's working right now for me, but I have a feeling that that's eventually going to wear out, and it will eventually just stop it, staying in there. I don't want to glue it because it's not. It's just these are too easy to break. But there's no way to. I have not figured a way out to magnetize it yet. However, with the fact that there is now a detail part there, I might be able to magnetize it anyway. Yeah. So yeah, I got some options, but so I would not recommend using a press fit approach, just from experience. It's lasted long because I haven't used these models extensively, but I think I would find a way to magnetize it. So using a detail part to obscure the outside of the railing, give it some place to hide the magnet, and you'd be a lot better. But definitely magnetize your antennas because these will snap off too easily if you don't. Alright, so anyway, go ahead and comment below, share, like, and subscribe. Let me know what you think, and hopefully I've given you some ideas for your own armies or different approaches you can take for some of your vehicles and what have you. So until next time, I'll see you later. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.